What's going on, folks? I'm just going to double check that we're live, Mark. Just make sure that everything is moving. Sometimes it gives me a little bit of heck. So bear with us, folks. Today, we have a very special guest on. Mark Jameson. Been a client for quite some time now. Has been an all-star player in our inbound program, and then ultimately has stacked our outbound endless lead program on top of that and has had insane results. So I wanted to bring him on, get his experience thus far, things that are shit, things that are awesome about it, so that way we can set some real expectations for some folks. But Mark, I appreciate you jumping on today, man.
Yeah, no problem.
So 27K in 2 weeks, dude. You've been absolutely dominating the outbound and some inbound too. But let's speak to the outbound program.
Gotcha.
What's been the game changer about the program for you, and why do you love it so much? So I'll ask you that.
I like I like the system a lot. The system's really easy. I love the callback, the active, where you go in and your disposition, you click callback, and then you can set any time, any day you want. I love that aspect. It makes my life a lot easier. And then the volume is what I like. And with inbound, you get good volume with inbound, but outbound, it's like every 2 minutes. And even if someone hangs up on you, then it's right to the next call. So the volume is what really gets me excited. Like if you do 2-3 hours, you're going to get probably 50 to 60 calls, depending on, how many you're talking to and things like that. But you're going to get at least 40 to 50 calls in 3 hour span. So if you're on there, you're going to get a lot of volume. And that's what I like too.
Yeah. And then I guess speaking to Jonathan, the volume, you're writing at least 1 to 2 apps every single day in a 3-hour stretch.
Yes, sir.
Which is awesome, by the way.
I would say I got, some people, well, I only want to be on like an hour to 2. That's not going to get it done. You have to be on at least 3 hours. Sometimes I'm on 4 to 5. You have to be on at least 3 hours to see really good results that I'm seeing, because you may have an hour where you only talk to 2 people and they had to go, you had to set a call back, whatever it may be. But it's the time on this. You're going to have to do 3 to 4 hours a day if you want to have good results.
Love it. What was the biggest struggle transitioning from inbound to outbound or adding both? What's the difference between, what you're used to saying and what you now have to kind of overcome now?
Definitely the beginning. The beginning was the really hard part for me to overcome, because it is different. And instead of getting the warm touch, of the inbound, where they've already kind of done some of the beginning work for you, you have to do it all, all by yourself. That's why I kind of came up with a thing to kind of gain their trust a little bit and kind of relax them a little bit, because, they just think I'm a telemarketer. So I always use the word review, like, let's review, because, if you come on strong, like, oh, let's get you a life policy, they're going to be like, yeah, you're just a telemarketer, and hang up on you. Or they say, I have life, and they hang up. So I've kind of had to just change that a little bit. And then starting a conversation, because I think it's a little different on inbound. I find it's easier if you make it through the first couple lines, starting a conversation right away. Like, you hear a dog in the background, for instance, and you say, oh, what kind of dog is that? I have a golden doodle. And that, or something like, oh, how's the weather there in Tennessee? The weather here is crappy. Just stuff like that. Little things will get you a conversation going. And then what I love to do, what I've mixed it up from the inbound, is I'm sending my my ID, like my producer's license, right away. So I get them on a conversation. I get them past the review part. We're talking, and I'm like, hey, you just received a text from my number, from a 307 number, and it's my license. And people are like, whoa, so as soon as they get that license, you're in pretty well. So I would say if you can make it past the first 2-3 lines, you're going to be in pretty well. And then, of course, just follow the script after that.
And I guess what has this done in the respects? I know you're in our unlimited live transfers, so you're not really used to paying per lead. You're just paying for access and getting as much as you can. But what has it done for your skill set now on the inbound when you do take an inbound now that you've taken basically every single no that you could have possibly gotten and have now turned it into a conversation and then potentially a policy, what's been the biggest change in that, I guess, is
I actually think it's helped me actually get more comfortable even with the script, because I always feel like you can always get more comfortable with the script. Like you can always use work on the script. And I think it's because I'm getting the outbound too, it's made me more comfortable with the script. I also think it's made me more comfortable just with people from a social aspect, because you're getting two different types of leads. You're getting people that are kind of warmed up and ready to go. And then on the outbound, you're getting people that need some warming up and, need that warm touch a little bit more even than the inbound. So I think it's kind of just sharpened everything too on the inbound and made me even more sharp on the inbound, more social. Not that I wasn't social, but more social and everything like that. Because you're getting two different types of leads, and you got to treat them a little bit different, right? It's like every kid you have, like if you have kids, every kid you have, you treat a little different because they're all different. And so that's how I relate it to the leads. Outbounds are a little different than inbounds, and the outbound people, they need a little bit more love than the inbound people. That's how I look at it. You know what I mean? Like they think you're just a telemarketer trying to rip them off. So you have to prove to them and gain their trust that you are not that. You are actually trying to help them. So that's a big difference for me too.
If you had to, set an expectation for people that are looking to join the program, but maybe looking at this as like a massive shiny object, what work is still needed to be done? And if you could give any piece of advice for somebody that is starting, what would that be?
If you're starting, like I said, man, I just believe in yourself. Like if you have to have a positive sounding voice. If you just talk like that, like you're reading a script, they're going to hang up on you so fast. My biggest thing I've noticed with the outbound is my voice tone. Like if I'm happy, even if they're sounding mad at first, you can hear the tone in their voice just change. It's just like, and also, just like I said, man, I think it's hours in there. It's just consistency.
Yeah.
I get on a lot the same, I know you can't get on the same time of day every day because life happens. But if you can try to get on almost the same time every day, do the same hours every day, that's what's really important for me, is the consistency. And I feel like that's why I write so much, especially in the outbound, because I'm really consistent on my time. So if you can pick a time and do it like 9 to 12 or 10 to 1 or whatever it may be, 10 to 2, that's where I would give that advice to people.
I'd like to
see and friendliness.
I'd like to pat you on the back for a second, because we have hundreds of agents that are in the program, coming in and out of the program, and you are by far the most consistent agent that we have. And I'm sorry for all of my other clients. This is not a jab at you guys, but Mark, every single day for the past 6 months has been active. The only when we're closed, obviously he's not active, but every single day that he can be active, he's active. Very, very few days has he texted. And the thing is you text me almost for the accountability portion of, to keep yourself accountable. It's like, hey, I can't do this work today. It's okay. You've put enough guardrails up in your business with your consistency that you can hit the rails sometimes and not go over the mountain, right? And so ultimately, I'd like to pat you on the back, because not very, very, very few agents have that level of consistency and throughout the bad weeks, because you've had bad weeks on inbound. You've probably had bad days and weeks on outbound.
Yeah.
But you're still remain consistent. So your numbers are always hitting the board. Now, if this program, if you were to say this program is not for you, who would this program not be for?
Just to be blunt, if you're not willing to put in the work and you don't like talking to people all day, like especially on the outbound, because you got so much volume, you're not going to succeed in this program. If you're not willing to follow the script, you're not going to succeed either. And if you're not willing to start a conversation on these outbound, this isn't for you. And like I said, you have to have a happy attitude. If you come like this and talking monotone, not gonna work. Just not gonna work. I mean, and the biggest thing for me, like, just avoid asking so many yes or no questions, especially when you get started. If you say something like, oh, is there anyone here with you that needs to be here? And like they're gonna be like, oh yeah, bye, because these people are already looking for every objection in the world, right? I mean, you see it. So when you sit there and you give them chances to object, they're going to right away. And I would say, especially on inbound, don't be like, oh, do you think you're getting a pretty good price? I mean, don't avoid that stuff. If you can avoid the yes no questions as much as because you got to ask some, but if you can avoid them in the first 5 minutes as much as you can, you're going to have more success. Because as I said, Chase, all these guys, especially on outbound, they're looking for any reason to get you off the phone. Yeah. So you don't want to give them more reasons than they already have, right?
Mm-hmm. I love it. Appreciate the expectation. I'd love to just give some context for the viewers that are watching. What the heck is our ENdless program? So what we've done is we basically have just given access to the same dialer and database as our call center. So the same database, same dialer that's proven to generate 6,000 to 8,000 calls a day from our center. You now have the ability to pay $650 a week, jump onto that, and dial endlessly. And what he said is in a 4-hour stretch, he might have 40 to 50 phone calls, but you're not paying per lead. So when he gets told no, or inevitably gets told to screw off, he clicks next and another person's there. So for you guys and anybody that's watching that's in the insurance industry, you're either on Facebook ads, you're on Google ads, or you're paying per lead from any other vendor, I can guarantee that we will destroy any conversation cost that you currently have. Just solely due to the fact of the massive amount of volume that our company generates per lead, as well as you paying one flat fee and being able to work your heart away. And it's truly endless conversations. As Mark said, our average wait time is about 1 minute and 40 seconds before somebody's picking up the phone and answering. Yes, you might get told to screw off, but the nice part, you're not paying per lead, which allows you guys to have such a more predictable business and a predictable way to just plug in and get conversations on demand. And as you can tell right now, our average from that $650 investment is about $4,000 to $6,000 a week. Now, we have some people like Mark who come in and absolutely destroy those averages, but he's been in the program for a while. He knows our scripts. He knows how we take our phone calls. So it was just a few little tweaks that he had to make on the front side of the phone call to then bring in his numbers that he was having on inbound into the outbound program. Mark, I truly appreciate you as a client.
Yes, sir.
As a friend now. And just as a business owner, because not a lot of people, as I said before, are as consistent as you. And, I know some pretty big dogs in the industry, and they're still not as consistent as you. So pat yourself on the back. You are on a trajectory that is unstoppable. And I truly, hope to be there every step of the way and watch you grow even more. So anyways, man, I appreciate you jumping on.
I appreciate it, man.
If you had one last thing that you wanted to tell anybody about the program or one piece of advice, what would that be, sir?
I've talked to some people and they act like setting an appointment on the outbound is a bad thing. It's not, because when you're on the outbound, you're going to catch people. It's just inevitable. They're making dinner. They're picking up their kids from school. They don't have the time to talk to you. Setting up appointments, I count as a win. I really do, because I've written about 4 or 5 off appointments, and not everyone's going to pick up when you set a call back, but that's why you keep calling them. And like I've been telling people, I don't stop. So once I set up an appointment on outbound, I'm calling them at least once every day. And I had one lady that I literally called 8 times and she picked up and had time and we got it done. So, I mean, I would count meetings as a win. If you get a call back, if they say, yeah, call me back at this time, let's talk, that's a win, right? Like if you set up 10 of those in a day and you write 4 of them, hell, that's a win right there. Even 3 of them. So, I mean, don't act like setting up an appointment is a loss, because it's absolutely not on the outbound. Not at all.
I love that. So for anybody that's watching, interested in joining the program, we do limit the slots. Right now, it's limited to 75. I think we're at about 65, so we might have 10 slots left. We'll be opening more January 15th, I would assume. So now until January 15th, only 10 slots available. If it's something that you want to do, feel free to send me a DM. We will get you set up. I'll show you the platform, show you the program. If it's something you want to do, We are now adding for your first week for the 650, you get full 10 days. So your first 3 days aren't even added to your billing cycle, allows you 3 days to just absolutely fall on your face and not have to worry about it. And then your billing cycle starts after those 3 days. So if you're interested, send me a DM. If you want to ask Mark some questions, DM him or don't DM him. Probably keep him back on the phones where he needs to be. But appreciate you coming on, man. Truly appreciate you.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
All right. Have a good day, man.